Hi, I'm Rich Luer with the Airstream Life store. The other day we were trying to chase down a plumbing leak inside the Airstream. We had a puddle of water on the floor and we couldn't figure out where it was coming from. It appeared to be coming from underneath one of the cabinets. That's when I discovered some of the many secret compartments and access hatches that are in your Airstream. Knowing where these are and how to get them open is really helpful if you ever need to do any maintenance on a valve, shut off water, trace an electrical fault, find a dead mouse, all kinds of things. Let me show you how they work. Here's the first one. You want to look for a blank panel like this. Now your trailer or your motorhome may be completely different in the layout. It may have no access panels. It may have many access panels. It depends on the floor plan. But what you're looking for is, see, here's a cabinet door and below this is a blank panel. It looks like part of the furniture, but here's the tip off. There's an edge right here. It's not attached. You can tell that's not built into the cabinet. This is a door. It doesn't have any handles on it, but if you put your fingers around the edge and give it a tug, look at that. It comes off just like a cabinet. And inside here, I can see some shutoff valves for hot and cold water, probably shutoffs for the kitchen. I'll trace those later and figure out exactly where they go. Putting back the access hatch is just as easy. Just put it in place, snap it. So what other hidden access panels might there be in the Airstream? Well, in this 23FB, there's another suspicious looking panel right here below the wardrobe. This one's a little bit different though. Instead of popping off completely, it turns out this one is hinged from one side. So I found that out by trying to get it off, and looking, there's a couple of hinges here. Now this is an important access panel, and there's probably one like it in your Airstream too, because it leads to access to the water pump. I see the winterization valve, I see furnace lines, water lines, electrical, the city water fill, and down through a hole here I can see access to the fresh water tank. So quite a lot of stuff going on in here. Now when I was working on chasing that water leak, I found that this space was kind of cramped, but there's a trick. You can remove the door completely when there's a hinge. So there's a tab on the back side of the hinge that you just press and the entire hinge comes off. That makes it much easier to work inside. You won't be snagging on the hinge all the time. To put the hinge back in place, you just have to position it correctly and snap it back to where it came from. Just like that. There are other types of access panels in your Airstream as well. This is a good example. Built into the wall here is a cutout, and you can see two plastic dots here. This is the backside of the shower control valve. If you ever needed to replace that valve or any part of it, which does eventually happen over time, getting to the backside of the valve is really important. And rather than having to take the entire bathroom apart, Airstream is very thoughtful giving you this access panel. To get to the back of the panel, you simply remove this plastic cover with your fingernail, and it will reveal a Phillips head screw. Take out these two Phillips head screws, pull the panel out, and voila, you have access to the shower control valve. There's one more place you can look for access panels on your Airstream, and that is underneath on the belly pan. Most of the belly pan is riveted in place, but if you find a square or rectangular piece of aluminum that is screwed in place, that's probably an indication that it's an access panel. In my case, there's one access panel right down here underneath the shower area, and when we removed it, we found it gave us perfect access to the P-trap underneath the shower. So if we ever have a problem with that trap clogging, or we need to service it for any reason, all we have to do is drop that little panel that's underneath here, and we can get to it very easily. If you are working in your Airstream and you need additional access in a place that there isn't an access panel, you can also remove the drawers very easily. It seems a little tricky until you know how it's done. But underneath all the drawers in a modern Airstream is a pair of orange latches. Squeeze these latches at the same time and pull the drawer out. And that releases the drawer. Now you've got much better access. If you're ever working inside the cabinet, I recommend you pull all the drawers out, including if you have one of these really large ones that's for the garbage. That opens up a tremendous amount of space to be able to get to all the plumbing that's underneath the kitchen countertop. Putting the drawers back in is just as simple. You simply have to align the drawer with the slides that are in there, and then just push it in all the way until it catches. And now it's back on its slides. So with all those tricks, access panels and removing drawers, it's really a lot easier to get to things in your Airstream than you might have thought of, things that you previously thought were going to be buried somewhere and only a technician could get to them. And notice that I took out all of these things except for one with no tools at all. So it's easy just to take a look. Oh, And one more bonus idea. The kitchen countertop. This isn't an access panel. This is sort of a little garbage can that they put in some of the Airstreams. But if you take it out and look inside, there's access to more things. In this case, the city water fill and some plumbing, and I see a shutoff valve that might be useful if I ever have a leak someday. So there's all kinds of ways to get inside. Keep some of these handy tips in mind and it'll make your next Airstream repair job a lot easier.